What is going on, everybody? It feels so good to be back. It is episode 157 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. We miss you dearly over our long weekend. It wasn't long for you because you got our pre-recorded episode on Friday, but we're glad to be back.
We are so glad to be back.
And we have a special guest.
We do. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Taylor Silverman. I am new here, and it's my first time on Pop Culture Podcast, or Pop Culture Crisis Podcast, but I'm really happy to be here.
And we are going to break her in with her first day.
Yes.
She's literally just starting today, so I asked her, because Dane is out of town right now. He's off doing something, whatever Dane does.
He's in his fatherland.
He's doing whatever Danes do in their fatherland. And then I was like, are we just going to do a two-person show today? Which is, we've been kind of talking about, like, are we going to do that? Are we going to have a two-person show at some point?
Yeah, we could definitely do that. I just felt like asking Taylor because she's here now, and, you know, why not?
And you have done, like, a bonus segment for IRL, right?
I've done a bonus segment for IRL, like the members only, and I did the Sunday interview with Tim.
Yeah.
And then I've been in some of the vlogs. But
well, this is a breeze compared to all that stuff. We're just going to have fun.
I should give a disclaimer that I hardly watch any movies or television, so a lot of this stuff I haven't heard of till today.
Well, that is all right. We are going to introduce her to this world of where pop culture, politics, and all of this kind of intersect is kind of what this is all about. And we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk about the box office for Thor: Love and Thunder, and my opinion on the kind of controversies that surround it, what the numbers really mean. And Mary, because she was there to see it, is going to give her mini review for it once we get there. We're going to talk about Doja Cat because Mary had to talk about this ridiculous topic of, look at that face. She's like, yes, it is ridiculous.
It's just, I love drama. What can I say?
She does. I'm a guy. I don't like drama. I don't care about drama. But she loves it, and we are going to talk about this article with her and the star from Stranger Things. And then we are going to talk about Lightyear, the director of Lightyear and the creator of The Terminalist, and what I consider to be separate approaches to how you get things made in Hollywood and where the blame goes when things either go right or go wrong. We're going to talk about all that. We've got Podluck. We got a bunch of stuff in there. So if you ladies are ready, we will just get right into it. Mary, are we ready?
We're ready.
Are you ready, Taylor?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get right into it. So it says, box office, Thor: Love and Thunder, thunderous with $143 million opening. That's a franchise best. And the key here is that it was a $302 million worldwide opening. But the question is, will it have the legs that other movies that are out right now, like a Top Gun Maverick has, or even Minions, which is still doing very well as well. But it has a 68% critic review on Rotten Tomatoes and an 81% audience review.
That's insane that it's 81%.
You think that's high?
Okay, spoiler alert. I don't know if anyone's surprised by this. I also voiced this opinion on the vlog, but I hated it. And
why did you hate it so much?
It's one thing that was jarring about it. It couldn't decide if it was kid-friendly or not, like family-friendly or not, because it at the beginning had cameos from Guardians of the Galaxy characters, and then like the CGI overload visuals were just like hell to get through.
Which
so
mean you are
I hated it.
Not ashamed to talk about how much that bothers us.
Yeah, and a waste of money too.
Before we move, that's the biggest thing here. This is one of the highest budgeted movies in all of Marvel. It's also one of the shortest, 119 minutes. This movie cost $250 million to make. If you add in production budget and marketing, that makes it about $375 million, which means if you assume the 60-40 split between theater and production company, that means it has to make about $600 million just to break even, which is insane. And for a 119-minute movie,
yeah,
that's insane.
And then what I mean that it couldn't decide if it was like family or friendly or not, they were just randomly adding curse words into the script, just like scattered throughout at random in ways that were very awkward and didn't seem fitting for the tone of the movie, which was supposed to be funny, lighthearted, visuals that kids like. It was literally they were riding on a space carriage, like with goats, like screaming goats. and like on a rainbow at one point. It's a very like childish storyline, despite the fact that they're like adult themes, like they curse and then there's a character dying of cancer.
Was there any F words? Were there any F words? I know PG-13 is allowed one F word per movie.
I think I would have remembered it, but I don't think so. But I just think taking into account the money it took to make it look as extravagant as it did, which I don't even find appealing. I think it's boring. But when you're taking that into account, you can't pair that with a script that just sucks balls. Like, it was so bad. The jokes weren't funny.
Too much humor? Overabundance of humor?
It was overdone and corny and in your face, and it was not clever enough that, like, adults would find it funny, yet there was language that is only appropriate for adult audiences. It was strange.
And from what I understand, that the Jane Foster storyline, which is based from the comics, which is, do you want to explain people what that storyline was, basically with her cancer storyline? So
she's, like, in stage 4 cancer that she found out about, well, it was, like, already at that stage. And that's where you see her at the beginning of the movie. So when she picks up Mjolnir, she's not sick. Like, she looks completely different. She's like,
and it pulls the cancer drugs out of her.
Yeah, but at the same time, they find out, like Thor finds out that when she picks up Mjolnir, it's accelerating her cancer. So it's shortening her life the more that she does it. And her reasoning for doing it was just that she was hoping it would help her, or she's kind of trying to live in the moment and doesn't really care whether it shortens her life or not. So that's that theme. And it was a little bit, I don't know, I think it was a little ham-fisted and like over the top.
There is I did have an article here that basically says it says that Thor Love and Thunder is slammed for offensive cancer storyline.
I don't think it was offensive.
I brought this one up that one may not be on there, Taylor. I brought this one up last minute, but I thought this one was really funny. Like, anybody can find anything offensive nowadays, but basically the idea here is, from the tweet says, I think the most disgusting thing about Thor Love and Thunder is the way they handled Jane Foster's cancer, specifically the chemo scene. It's a delicate thing to deal with, especially in a superhero movie for kids, but holy damn, if you can't do it with respect, don't do it at all. From what I understand, it's more like the fact that they're going between comedy and then serious storyline, and then right back to comedy because they can't get away from it because it's Marvel and they have to have ham-fisted jokes all the time.
Yeah,
and it's
a repeat offender studio in that regard. And then another thing is that they tried to have this heartfelt ending. I don't even think we need to say spoiler alert anymore because I've been spoiling it. But Spoiler alert. They aim to have this heartfelt ending to the movie, where even though Thor loses Jane Foster, he still has a companion in his adopted kind of niece, because she calls him uncle, and she's a brat. Like, she is not likable whatsoever, and at the end of the movie you're just left like confused as to why Thor is still fulfilled by this companionship that he has in this child when she's like completely unappreciative of what he does for her. Yeah, overall just like not heartwarming, not funny.
Thank you.
I didn't find the action scenes very compelling either. Yep. It was just too much CGI.
Where did the budget go? Did the budget go into like literally? I think it's the Guns N' Roses soundtrack, dude. Like having that
was like 99% of it in the trailer, and not in the movie itself. Yeah, like but like $250 million for a 119-minute movie is insane. Having to make $600 million for a movie that, for the most part, is doing fine. Like if you look at it, it is the highest. Is the highest opening of the Thor movies at 143 million domestically, 302 worldwide. But in general, I just don't know if it's really something that is worth all of the trouble down the line. And then we have the other stuff, which I call non-traversies, which is it's getting called out for being, I guess the term is queer baiting. They're saying basically... there's a moat of there's a polluted trash moat around Thor that has nothing to do with the movie, but all of the marketing and the backlash to the marketing and the controversy about how they wanted to advertise it.
And they can never get out of their own way with the virtue signal.
There's no drawbridge over the trash moat.
So it says fans are accusing Natalie Portman and Taika Waititi of exaggerating the queer representation in Thor: Love and Thunder after the pair claimed that the film was, quote, super gay.
Which it wasn't. Let me list for you what was gay in it.
But I'm saying, why? Why is that a selling point to anyone? Like,
no, it is, unfortunately. Like,
that's weird.
People will go see a movie if you market it in that, like, pandering woke way.
But it's super pandering. Like, to me, if somebody's like, there's like, the guys in this thing are super straight, like, I'm not going to see it because the guy is super straight or the girl is super straight.
People are won easily, and they think that if they go see it, they're, supporting this community that has nothing to do with how the movie was made.
Or it doesn't have anything to do with the movie at all.
Yeah. So, like, let me tell you what was gay in the movie. Not Jane Foster, not Thor.
Because that's literally the straight romance that preceded it in the first two movies.
So-called King Valkyrie.
Which is pandering.
Tessa Thompson.
King and Tessa Thompson with her literal, like, she has like two facial expressions that she can do.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of her acting.
She was canonically, like, bisexual, I guess. I don't know.
And Korg. And The Rock. And Korg.
Yeah, and Korg was canonically as gay as a rock can be, which I don't really understand. But basically, they showed Valkyrie.
So the rock guy was the representation?
Yeah, Korg was gay. I don't know. Then he's a rock.
Valkyrie's bisexual.
Yeah, so they showed Valkyrie as they were storming out of Zeus's palace. Valkyrie kissed the hand of one of Zeus's, like, concubine women.
Yeah.
And then they rode off into the rainbow sunset.
Beautiful.
And then another thing that happened with Valkyrie was a conversation that she had with Korg. When Korg was separated from the rest of his body, it was only his face. He was explaining how his species reproduces asexually, where two, like, male Korgs hold hands over a puddle of lava and they create a molten baby in the lava, and that's supposed to be gay, I guess.
But when
gay.
And
when Natalie Portman says this stuff, you can literally feel her patting herself on the back.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like,
totally.
This declaration, which was met with cheers from the crowd when she says it's so gay, was reiterated by Waititi, who yells super gay into his microphone. Enjoy it, he added. On TikTok, where the clip of the moment was shared by, I can't pronounce that name, and viewed more than 4.4 million times, Marvel fans were excited by the promise of LGBTQ representation in the film, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been largely lacking this. They've been doing it since the Eternals. The problem is, it's not important to these stories because, for the most part, other than, like, Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter, right? We have those, and then we have, like, so Captain America and Peggy Carter, and then you have, like, Pepper Potts and Iron Man. There's not really a lot of time for romance in general, straight or gay, because the point is that aliens are attacking. It's based on comic books. The love stuff should be, for the most part, straight or gay, very, very minimal, and it should elevate the story in certain aspects, but it certainly shouldn't be a selling point of any of these movies.
And I feel like if someone did go to the movie thinking, oh, I'm going to see, like, gay characters, something that I'm not used to seeing as much, this is great, and then they saw that.
And then you see Korg talking about lava, like molten lava babies. And then in the same conversation, the only other gay thing in the movie was that conversation that she had with Korg, where Korg, like, mentioned offhand that she had broken up with a girlfriend of hers and they were talking about their love lives. That was it.
So it sounds like it wasn't super gay, it was subtly gay.
It sounded like
which is
the
fine,
cast wanted
exactly.
to
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's fine.
Pat themselves on the back for representation that they didn't do.
So for the people that do care, that's annoying. For the people that don't care, then they're like, okay, but why did you talk about it to begin with if it's not important? They are addicted to the virtue signal. All of them. All the celebrities love to be. It's why I hate the concept when they talk about representation, because it always feels like this really, really narcissistic thing where this actress or actors, like I'm representing this group of people as if they have been anointed some type of spokesperson for an entire group of people. You are not that special, and movies are not that important. Is there great cinema? Absolutely. Do I believe that movie making is a fantastic art form? Yes. Are you changing the world because you made a rock gay? No.
Rock.
You are not changing the world by making a rock gay. You are not. So it's this has also soured people on Taika Waititi because they're not happy with the fact that the movie just jokes constantly every 5 minutes and doesn't let up, which has them worried about his upcoming Star Wars project, which he has been heavily talking about recently. Basically, the idea is that he didn't realize that Natalie Portman was already in the prequels and like asked her to be involved in it. So it proves that he doesn't care. Either he doesn't know enough about the source material to actually do his job.
Did you even watch
or
it?
did you even watch
One
it? Like,
time?
So it says, some of the responses says, Taika Waititi talking about his 2025 Star Wars film was a dumpster fire. Forgot Natalie Portman was in Star Wars, asked if she'd like to be in it, doesn't have time to research the IP, realized his film idea is flawed, and then they just go on about all this stuff where I think the bloom is off the rose with him. I actually like Taika Waititi as a director when he puts a joking twist on various, on more serious topics, like Jojo Rabbit, or if you take him as an actor, I actually think he's a really, really good actor. He was great as like the would-be bad guy in Free Guy. So I actually like him more as an actor.
I didn't see Free Guy. Was that interesting?
Yes. Free Guy is actually probably the future of movies. If we want to get away from comic book stuff and more into like conceptual video
ideas.
It's a conceptual idea based around the concept of open world video games. I think that's where you're going to find a lot less pushback from people like me who are going to call you out for bragging about making a rock gay. As if that's like your big claim to fame in 2020.
It's like, look at our pet rock.
And this movie it's got a B+ cinema score, which is really good for anyone else. For Marvel, that is very low.
It. Like,
second lowest of any Marvel movie, next to Eternals, which had a B. But Marvel gets a pass from a lot of their fans because the fans are not NPCs, but they love what they love, and that's fine.
I mean, a lot of them are NPCs and will like anything that's has the Marvel logo slapped over it. And there's also like a heavy-handed introduction to the movie that's like, look, it's based on comics.
And from what I understand, people liked Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher.
He did a good job. Yeah.
But he's also like, they asked him like, do you like Marvel? He's like, I didn't know what Marvel was before. I don't know if I'd buy that. He's like, I saw one of them.
He doesn't have to know everything about it, but
it's not his job to know. It's his job to.
He did a good job.
Okay. Do you think they should make another one?
Another Thor movie? Hell no.
Here's the thing. I love
What's
Chris.
This, number 4?
This is number 4.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I love Chris Hemsworth. And as they continue to replace these characters, we're going to talk later about Chris Evans talking about having to like give certification to the fact that they're making a 4th Captain America movie, but they're doing it with Sam Wilson, who played Falcon, which means if the original Captain America has to justify your existence, you're not really Captain America. It's just pandering. Like, I love Chris Hemsworth in this role because I think that he really enjoys playing this character, but I didn't like the first 2 because I thought they were too overly serious and boring, and I thought they missed their mark by that point, and I thought Ragnarok was meh, and this one I have no real interest in seeing because of the review you gave, all the controversies, all that stuff. I'm going to keep saying controversy. I love that word, controversy. I don't know if they need to make him, but don't get rid of Chris Hemsworth. Incorporate him into the rest of the movie. If the whole point is that you have an expanded, connected universe, you can keep him around. Just don't. He doesn't need any more movies. They didn't give Iron Man a 4th movie. He just went on to work in other films.
Wait, do you mean Chris Hemsworth as Captain America?
No, Chris Hemsworth is Thor. So I'm saying, do they need to make a 5th Thor film, or do they just have him go and do other movies within the franchises?
Here's the thing you can rely on. It's the law of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
I know this seems like dogmatically anti-sequel, but if that's what I am, then that's what I am, okay? You can't do something 5 times just as well each 5 times. You can't even do something moderately well that many times that's the same story, the same characters.
Miles Teller was saying that they're like they're already like in talks to do like Top Gun 3. I'm like, don't do it. You don't need to do it. The movie was perfect the way it is. There's no need to do that movie.
Yeah.
If they can make money doing it, though.
I know.
Of course
Well,
they
that's-
will.
and that's-
It's not even a question of like should or shouldn't anymore, but we know that they will.
Yeah, and that's the problem. As long as there's money to be made, they will keep.
With
they
the
will keep
Minions
making
thing too, it's like, yeah, people are gonna go see it because it's Minions and kids recognize it and they ask their parents to go. But like, is there anything else like worthy in entertainment that you could offer than just something derivative?
it. No.
Like, this is like, it feels like a death rattle of our culture. Like, there's nothing new.
Yep.
You
No
can't
more
have
original
anything
stories.
original.
Let's do super chats.
Okay. Sorry, I'm being like depressing.
Oh, also before we go on, they're saying that Thor 4 is in limbo for a Chinese release. They have not had a release in China for a Marvel movie since Avengers Endgame.
Well, how principled of them.
Over LGBTQ stuff. So
I was
China,
just gonna say,
China is
could them promoting the movie as being so gay or super gay affect how other countries
110%.
react?
Yep, absolutely.
Totally.
That's a very big, like whether you're talking Qatar, Turkey, a lot of these other countries, they just don't. They're not the West. Which is why I always laugh when these actors crap on the West where they live, not realizing how good they have it here compared to a lot of other places in the world. But that is up in the air right now. So super chats.
Interesting.
Dizwiz said, I don't really understand what I am reading. Mary exchanged conversation with Tim on IRL. Tim
Equals-
upgrades? Wait, what?
He will have to send another super chat to like
Can
decode
you explain
that.
what you meant, please? Bad App said, I got honeypotted by Mary into making a WeChat, but I don't know any commies to approve my QR code, so the CCP can gain access to my library of unsolicited beep pics. Hey, Brett.
That's like a lot of T's. It's better than one T. I am fine with there's 2 T's in Brett, but if you want to put 7, that's fine. Just don't put 1. Brett with 1 T is just Brent without the N. It's a problem.
War Chicken Apollo said, I wanted to catch you live after Mary shilled PCC on Timcast, so I turned on all notifications on your channel. Somehow Google failed to notify me of you going live. I'm sure it's just an oversight.
That
That's
is
weird.
very, very suspicious, and I will have to take this up with Google. I'm one of those people where I don't tend to like always think that there's somebody like I don't think there's any like Google employee that's out to get me and you.
Specifically
No,
targeting us.
I kind of like the idea that there's just one dude there
That
who
means
hates
they're
us.
that means they're doing their job right.
Yes, I like the idea that there's just one dude at Google who just hates me and Mary, and he's just like, nope, not today.
Bad Apps also said, I support super gay content by watching PCC. Aw, shucks, Bad Apps.
That's very nice of you. Thank you.
Matthew Hammond said, I was promised money would shoot out at everyone. So far, I'm disappointed. It's nice to see Mary in her natural habitat.
Money has absolutely
There's
been shooting
money.
out.
Also,
Are you blind?
I wasn't ready for it, so each time it happened, I'm like,
I meant to ask if you were
Oh,
okay
yeah.
after the first
'Cause,
time.
Yeah, you can't
saw
see
me.
this.
First time is always difficult.
Yeah, the audience can't see this, but the way the guns are angled, they're shooting
pointed
directly at the
directly at me.
guests every
Yeah.
time. So
Literally
they
there
might be
to
a
get
little
the
more
guest.
startled. Caper2X said, Oh, darkness, methinks you're not a true Marvelite Marvel fan. Having been a fan since the 1960s, I say, nay, make mine Marvel. Welcome, Taylor.
I don't know if the Make Mine Marvel is a reference to Make Mine a Milkshake, which was the milkshake incident with Heather Antos in like the 2015, 2017. That we'd have
Milkshake incident.
we would have to have a whole episode just
What
to
is
talk
this?
about that. It connects to Gamergate and women in comics. It's a thing.
Okay.
it's a deep
Hobbit
dive
said,
for another
they're
day.
turning the freaking rocks gay.
It's a problem.
They
man.
are,
Indeed.
indeed.
Where was Alex Jones when you need him to get everything right?
Dragon's Talon 1001 said, I'd rather pay to support PCC than give money to the Marvel Universe for this type of crap movie. Well, thank you. It means a lot to us.
Especially for like 119 minutes is really like I mean
It
I
was
actually
so
love
long.
that.
I'm not going to lie. I did fall asleep like multiple times. Not for very long. I was able to shake myself awake.
but
it
under
was
2
not-
hours.
It was not entertaining.
Usually, when I like hear somebody talking about a movie, I will become more interested in the movie.
Yeah.
This has made me even less interested in watching.
It was so bad. Just don't even go.
It is the number 12th MCU opening, and I just want to point out that it is like the third best post-pandemic release. But anything with that amount of budget is going to get that by virtue of just being that big of a budget. And the amount of money that got pushed into the marketing is going to push it there. But it is opening below where Doctor Strange was. And Doctor Strange didn't do that well because of poor legs, because of poor reviews, and poor word of mouth. I don't think this movie has the word of mouth to make $1 billion. I don't. So I think it'll make its money back.
Well, it said the Rotten Tomatoes rating was like 80% for audience, right?
Audience
for
for Doctor Strange.
For this one,
Yep,
for Thor.
no,
Yeah.
80%
Yeah.
and 60. And I'm actually surprised that the critics' score is so low. They're kind of bashing on it.
Well,
but
I'm surprised that the audience score is so high with what we're seeing most articles about.
Yeah. So what we'll have to wait and see is like what the second weekend, how big of a drop the second weekend box office will kind of give you a better idea as to where that's going as far as predictions for what it will actually make in profit, or if it'll make profit, or if it'll make it to move on. So you ready to talk about Doja Cat?
Oh, I'm ready.
Are you ready?
You best believe I'm ready.
Go ahead and start it for us.
I wrote an article about this incident. I titled it something very snarky, as you would only expect from me. Socially unaware Doja Cat scolds Noah Schnapp for being socially unaware.
So Noah Schnapp is from Stranger Things.
Yes. He plays Will Byers, which we talked about on the show before.
Yes.
The
Thank you.
controversy
See?
over
Money, guns,
Yeah, see,
shooting at
the
people.
money. It shoots. It
I'm
definitely
used to
shoots.
it
Right
now.
at
That didn't even faze
you're
me.
desensitized to the
Yep.
to the money gun violence. We need money gun control. That's what we
I
need.
like it now. Keep it coming.
No more semi-automatic money guns. We need money gun control.
I'm
Oh
just
boy,
pulling up
they're making it
Mary's
spicy.
article.
I am championing this platform. Okay, continue.
The 26-year-old rapper took to TikTok to slam the 17-year-old Stranger Things actor for posting their private messages. So let me fill y'all in on what happened. Doja Cat went ahead and DM'd Noah Schnapp on Instagram, asking him to hook her up with his adult coworker.
Asking a 17-year-old to hook him up.
Yes, just,
To hook her
to be
up.
clear. Joseph Quinn, who plays Eddie Munson on Stranger Things, is 29 years old in real life. And this is who she was trying to get with. And she wanted Noah Schnapp to be her wingman, which is kind of freaking weird.
A little weird.
So she said, tell him to hit me up. And then Noah said, LMAO, slide into his DMs. And she says she didn't know his Instagram or Twitter handle, which is very easy to find. You just look up the guy's name on Instagram, and his Instagram is right there.
So not only is she doing this to a child, she's lazy. And
Yeah.
she doesn't know how to use Google.
I don't think she wants to admit this. I think she knew exactly what this guy's Twitter and Instagram were, and she just wanted Noah Schnapp to help a girl out and put in a good word.
Okay.
So then she got his Instagram from Noah Schnapp, and then Noah went and posted a screenshot of their conversation in a TikTok and captioned it, calling her Thirsty Doja. It blew up. It got tens of millions of views. And then he deleted it when she pitched a fit on TikTok Live, scolding
Live or
him
Instagram?
on TikTok
Okay.
Live. Yeah. She claimed that she tried to record like a 3-minute long video a few times and couldn't stop cringing at it, which should have been her first warning about like, just shut your mouth.
Yep.
But yeah, she went on live stream and went for like about 10 minutes ranting about how, quote, socially unaware and whack his behavior was for posting their private DMs.
Props for bringing back whack. I haven't heard that term in a very long time.
She said that it was borderline snake bleep, like weasel bleep.
It weirds me out
she
when
called it-
adults like talk trash about
Oh, yeah.
teenagers.
Oh, yeah.
He's a child.
What
She
did
said
you
it was.
expect
She said
as
it
a
was
kid?
degrading, exploitative, and super embarrassing.
I have a problem with a lot of like what it is these days is like people just use words and don't actually pay attention to what the hell those words mean.
Degrading and exploitative.
I would love to know what was
That's crazy.
Just by reading this, like, and what he said, like thirsty Doja, it sounds like he was kind of trying to be playful, if
Of
anything,
course.
about it being a funny situation.
Of course, yeah. Like, it's not like he was trying to just expose her and like
She probably
disgrace
was
her.
embarrassed, but I mean, what did you expect when you tried to get a teenager to be your wingman?
Exactly.
Has do people ever, Taylor? Do people ever hit you up and say, "Hey, can you put in a good word with me with your friend"? Is that a thing?
No, I get a lot of parents message me and they want me to meet their son because it's because I'm Jewish. They want their Jewish son to have a wife, and I'm like, I'm have a boyfriend, but I know some Jewish girls you want me to like
Put you in. Okay, so it is a thing.
Matchmaking is
Okay,
not
but it's
that
a lot
weird,
different
but
when
it's
it's
weird when
like-
you're asking a teenager to
When
help
you're
you.
in the entertainment industry, you're asking a teenager to hook you up with his 29-year-old coworker.
And I mean, it sounds like they all know each other. I don't know. I
They
don't want
don't.
to judge. Oh, they don't.
She doesn't know
Okay.
him.
Well, then why
all.
doesn't she just reach out to this
But that's the
Joseph
thing.
Quinn guy?
She had already tweeted saying Joseph Quinn is fine as bleep
So
publicly in May.
Did he not tweet back?
He didn't tweet back because he's not interested.
she's feeling rejected.
He's not that into you, babe.
He's just not in it. He's just not that into you.
So then she, like, on this live stream, she's kind of like schizophrenically oscillating between excusing the TikTok and then like lambasting him for it. So she was saying, to be fair, this is like a kid. When you're that young, you make mistakes, you do dumb bleep. You're supposed to do stuff like that so that you know not to do it in the future.
She's making out to be
But then
like
she
he
goes
made
back
a,
on
a
it.
major mistake, though. He
Yeah.
just shared something that she reached out to him,
Yeah.
which, I mean, if she expected it to be private, whatever, but he is a kid. I don't think you can hold kids accountable the same way. And if she's really that embarrassed and upset about it, she should reach out to him and let him know that.
Mm-hmm.
But she made like a video talking about it.
She could have just DM'd him and been like,
Yeah.
"Hey, could you take that
Thank
TikTok
you.
He
down?
did
Like,
take
I'm
it
a little
down.
embarrassed." Yeah, he took it down after he was like publicly called out for it.
Thank you.
And then
So is he like
says that
receiving
he's
hate
trying
because
to
of
do
that?
a power play on her.
See, okay, this is the other
Like,
thing.
this is insane language to use about the situation.
That was the first thing that stuck out to me about this whole thing was the hyperbole around her language, and I find this to be true in all of Hollywood. It's like they all took one like amateur writing course, and they learned all the big descriptives, and then they use them for everything. Like they have no idea of context or of weight. It's like, this is just a kid interacting poorly. It doesn't need to be elevated to the level of poetry in your description of how
Yeah.
how he wronged you.
Well, that she is like the spotless victim of the
Yeah.
situation. It's ridiculous, and Twitter just jumped all over this situation.
I feel like the whole thing, it shouldn't even be that big of a deal.
It shouldn't.
Well, yeah, I
right?
mean, it was only ever a big deal to her because she went and embarrassed herself and then made the whole situation worse.
So what does she do then? Does she like, now it would be hilarious if they end up together, her and that guy end up
I
together.
doubt it, because
Now-
now he's like, "Oh, you're crazy."
So
Like, I ended the article saying, "Good luck convincing Joseph Quinn to hit you up now, Doja. You made yourself look bonkers." And you did. Like, because she...
not her first time.
No. Like, she goes nuts on Twitter. She's known for, like, just not using social media wisely.
We covered the thing where she like quit music
Yeah.
randomly one weekend.
She likes to change her screen name on Twitter to different things.
Snarky.
But it doesn't seem
like,
to
yeah.
negatively impact her career. If anything,
I think it's different
she's probably
for her because...
getting more attention because of it.
Yeah, she, like,
That's a
blew up
problem.
saying, like, bleep, I'm a cow. Like, her video, like, dressed up like a cow with, like, like exposing her chest.
This is the kind of
literally
trolling I'm
saying,
here
like,
for.
I'm a cow. If that's how you blew up onto the in the music industry, I don't think that you really have to save face on Twitter, sure. But, like, for your own personal dignity, I think it would be better to not make your screen name on Twitter, I'm made of diarrhea.
So here's some of the
Or
Then-
she changed
then
it to,
saying
I'm
that
better than you.
Everyone else is so
I'm-
degrading towards
I'm
me.
better than you. I'm Anna Kasparian. She says, is Doja Cat really mad that Noah Schnapp revealed that she's interested in Joseph Quinn, which she has publicly stated before, by the way? Or is she just mad that we found out her grown ass is DMing a 17-year-old?
They said, I think it's funny that somebody who is chronically online is shocked that a 17-year-old wouldn't air you out for being thirsty. Good point. Yeah.
Genuinely confused why Doja Cat is responding with this energy. She had already made her interest in Joseph Quinn public. It's not like Noah relieved anything. She wasn't She wasn't essentially already. Did they mean?
They meant revealed.
Yeah, revealed. I was like, what? Revealed anything she hadn't essentially already publicized herself. Why are we throwing around words like power play and snake shit? And those are like the tamest of the language there.
Yeah.
A lot of it was so much more hyperbolic than that.
Mm-hmm. And I think some people overreacted to the fact that she was DMing Noah Schnapp. I don't think she meant anything predatory by it
of course
at
not.
all.
I don't think that's like the biggest deal. But
it is weird, yes. I just don't think that either of them were trying to power play each other
I
at
think
all.
if anything, it sounds like he was trying to playfully joke about it.
Yeah, it would be something that like
and
she would have
he was
expected.
probably well aware that she had already shared online her interest in Joseph Quinn.
Y'all are so cringe and lame, and nobody wants to hang with you. That's why y'all be on here unironically writing replies to shit that makes you mad. They say stuff that annoys people, and then they get mad and weird when people actually respond to them.
So that was her tweet on the day that everyone was like piling onto her, and then she followed that up with a voice note where she was literally like breathing heavily and growling into the phone. And said, I'm about to go off. I'm about to go crazy.
Crazy.
It's like worrying behavior because even if you're making it seem like you're like in on the joke, you're definitely not in on the joke.
What if she is like trolling just to get
she
attention?
thinks she's trolling. I think she genuinely thinks that she is like in on the joke, but
I think
she's
she
still
genuinely
mad.
likes this guy though too.
Schrodinger's,
yeah.
Schrodinger's Doja Cat. She.
No. Brett, you are killing me slowly.
Okay. Was she trolling? You have to open the box to find out. I say we get them on a date together. We should make a show where they end up on a date together and she has to try to explain herself to this poor Joseph
I can't
Quinn
imagine
dude.
being this guy where his name is just like in the middle of
He's like, I don't want anything to do with this stuff.
cauldron of drama.
He's not made any comment. He's just living his life.
He's not
trying
even
to
active
avoid
on
it.
social media that much
good.
anyway.
Smart dude.
Yeah.
Smart dude.
You know, actually, you know the case I was talking to you about earlier?
Mm-hmm.
The character he plays is based off of one of them.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the name of the guy?
So a lot of people don't know that they actually do know a little bit about this case, and I was shocked to find how many people in the house were unaware of it, but it's the Damien Eccles case that they're trying to... It's like a whole box we'd have to go into and reopen, but I'm almost positive that that's the character that's supposedly like inspired by him.
Oh, okay. I haven't watched the 5th season, so I don't know much about Eddie Munson as a character.
I just found it doing research about the recent updates
maybe
in
he's like
his case that was also a Stranger Things inspiration for a character.
Interesting.
That's one we'll have to dive into at some point another day. But
yeah,
I saw that though, and I thought that's that guy who plays the guy that's based off the other guy.
Yeah,
for
everyone who's confused about what I'm talking about right now, I'm sorry. But yeah, Damien Eccles.
Can you shout out like the name of the case then?
Oh, this was in Arkansas in the 90s. There were 3 young boys, like 8-year-old boys, who were tragically, brutally murdered, and unfortunately, some teenage boys in the area ended up being wrongfully convicted of the murders, and they spent decades, I think like 20 years on death row in prison, and they finally got released. And just recently, one of them tried to get a judge to approve testing some DNA evidence that hasn't been tested because there wasn't a way to test it back then, and it's still just been sitting in a file, I guess. But they said they don't want to test it, so he's working to get that tested to hopefully solve this case once and for all and clear their names. But
yeah, the
Stranger Things has a
documentary
character based
about
off
this
him.
case is called Paradise Lost, if any of you are interested. But I
Yep.
didn't know that Eddie Munson was possibly based off of one
Now,
of them. That's
I haven't seen the
interesting.
show either, but Miracle and I were talking about it, and she mentioned like that she did know about that.
Okay.
It's not exact, like based on his story. It's more of an inspired by situation. But yeah, go watch Paradise Lost and learn about that, because there could be more updates in it in the soon future, hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Super chats.
Let's see.
Sorry to take that in a different direction.
No,
but
that's good.
that's an interesting coincidence.
No, it's okay. Shoot. Oh, I don't want to say that. Is that like against YouTube rules? It's not the word shoot, but it sounds like shoot.
Just
I'll skip
just read
it.
read the chat.
Lord of the Memes on Rumble. Look it up live. 3 parts. Epic Lord of the Rings reference.
I feel so bad for all of the lifelong Lord of the Rings fans with Rings of Power coming
What's
out.
coming up
because
on
I
Amazon?
As somebody who doesn't really care, read the books once.
I think it's
Saw
just
the movies.
despicable that the people in charge of Tolkien's estate would allow something that like that to be under his name.
There's not a fan. Not a fan.
Caper2X said, I'm disappointed, Brett. Make mine Marvel. It's a motto created by the man himself, Stan Lee. For shame, I say. Howdy,
Thank
Taylor.
you. So Caper2X says, howdy, Taylor.
Howdy.
Yes, I was more of a DC guy, and even then, like, I've never pretended to be the biggest comic book nerd. I read them when I was younger. I know enough about the main characters and some of the side characters, and I follow the industry closer now. But it's kind of like pro wrestling. It's kind of been degraded so far down by modernity that I just don't care the way that I used to. So I did not catch the reference. So I apologize about that, Caper.
Also, I'm curious. Is the new Lord of the Rings thing just like a total disrespect to the original series?
Yes.
Is
Well,
that
it
what's
hasn't
happening?
come out yet, so like won't pass judgment on everything.
True.
But like
that's
it
happening with a
looks
lot of
super,
different franchises.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like it's not even related to the
Actual
Shire
works,
or
yeah.
like the original characters.
More just trying to bank off people's nostalgia, but not even
Yeah, but
respecting the
IP.
Yeah,
original.
exactly.
It's banking off the fact that the name carries weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know there was going to be that coming out. Interesting.
Dragon's Talon 1001 said, wouldn't that be like a grandma hitting up their grandson to hook them up with their friend's dad? I mean, not exactly, you know.
Not exactly a one-to-one comparison, but
No. No, it would not.
It's exactly the same thing.
Hobbit said, stories like this is why I don't pay attention to celebs and their drama. It's just gross to see how messed up the culture is. Like it's in a crisis almost.
Hey.
Whoa, it's like a pop culture crisis.
you could call it
couldn't
that,
have said it
yes.
better.
Kind of like the name of the podcast.
That is
Whoa.
crazy.
We're losing our minds. 1,000-Foot Deep End said, sounds like she singled Noah out because he was young and she thought he would be impressionable enough to actually hook her up with his co-star.
So that's like hooking up groomers, yeah.
I mean, all of his co-stars that are like around his age are 18, so I don't know if you like suddenly are immune to that at 18, but it was ridiculous to accuse him of like trying to do some weird power play on her.
Wait, what exactly did she say to him anyway? Just like
directly like in the messages?
Yeah.
It was like, tell Joseph Quinn to hit me up. And then
okay, so it wasn't anything.
it was like a very
crazy.
brief exchange, and it wasn't.
It was like putting a good word for me.
Yeah, it wasn't
have him.
revealing any like private information.
Okay.
At all.
It wasn't anything like inappropriate.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, I want to move on, and I want to talk about the Terminalist and Lightyear and what I consider to be a very big difference in the way that these media companies and the people who are creating art today approach the process of critique and how they view fans and the way that we as consumers take this entertainment in. So this first article says, Lightyear director lashes out at fans following box office failure. And it is, I think by now, fair enough to consider it a failure. So it says Lightyear was expected to be, by many, to be the top box office attraction. When it came time for the film to hit theaters, instead, thank you. The film fell quite short of those calculations. While the numbers for Lightyear were not bad, launching to around $50 million domestically in its opening weekend, and about $200 million worldwide, those were not nearly what anyone thought is not nearly what anyone was expecting from the film that was marketed as a prequel to the beloved Toy Story franchise with a budget, again, of more than $200 million.
It's not even a prequel, though, because it has nothing to do with the characters that come later on.
And they spend so much money. This is the other thing. They're spending so much money on these properties that making your money back is then insane. It's like impossible when you have to spend that much money. You're basically guaranteeing that they have to be billion-dollar franchises if you're going to turn a profit of any sort. So it says, however, Lightyear's box office woes were made worse by the incredible run for the Minions Rise of Gru, those gentle minions out there ruining Buzz Lightyear's day. The Universal Pictures and Illumination Studios film topped 128 million in its first weekend. Remember that. Minions, 128 million in its first weekend. Lightyear, 50 million. Toy Story is like a gazillion-dollar franchise. It says the Disney Pixar film was met with much controversy following the same-sex kiss. Nobody cares. It was brief. It was unimportant. That's not why people didn't go see this movie. Nobody skipped this movie because of...
Right. Mass droves of people were like, we're homophobic, so we're not going to watch Lightyear.
No, they did not know who to market this to.
Whoever believed that other than Chris Evans?
So it says Lightyear director Angus MacLane has recently been involved in discussing on social media regarding the film and has spoken out in defense of the Pixar movie. Well, he has to. It's his movie. I don't blame him for that. He says he doesn't get the outrage and that life is too short to be upset about a science fiction movie when there's only a couple released every year. I don't get it, but whatever. Folks seem pretty steamed about the film. We only get 1 to 2 big science fiction movies a year. The supply is too low to get upset about them. Life is too short. No, the supply is too low that you should get upset about them if they don't live up to expectations. Actually, the movies should actually, if you're going to make only a couple of them a year, by the way, if you consider all superhero movies to be somewhat science fiction, they're all science fiction movies. In a way, I understand that that's not the genre, but
the supply is too low to get upset about them. What does that even mean?
Anytime directors start getting on Twitter to defend themselves, it doesn't go well.
It literally never goes.
He's
Ryan Johnson
traumatized and still processing.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, there was a Clownfish TV video from 2019 that has lived rent free in my head for like 3 years, where they review after Terminator Dark Fate came out. And the director, basically, they did what they do whenever these movies fail, kind of like what Taylor was just mentioning. Whose fault is it that this movie didn't do well? Well, it couldn't be my fault. It must be the fans' fault for not liking the 9,000th Terminator movie when none of them have been good after Terminator 2. But the point is that in the article, he says that he's processing the trauma of his movie bombing and the hyperbole of the idea that your movie not doing well at the box office is traumatic literally had me laughing for like 15 minutes.
They always have to run damage control on Twitter.
Yes.
Like, control yourself.
That they would literally do better to just not be on Twitter. Like Taylor said, like getting on Twitter is the worst thing you can do if you're a director and your movie isn't doing well. And then he says, another user saw the film and said that he didn't understand why the film was rated so lowly. MacLane responded by saying it mainly has to do with trolls. It's always those damn trolls'
much
fault.
like the second chapter of The Hobbit.
Very clever.
Wow,
so,
you're so smart.
There is a here I will say he's right about one thing, that the movie actually has a fairly high review. Like if you look at like who actually reviewed it, let's see if I can go back here to Lightyear. 1 second here. The score for it was actually not too bad.
85% audience score and 75% critical score.
Okay, so an 85% audience score is fine. So the question here is then, why didn't people come out to see it? It's got nothing to do with trolls. It has to do with you didn't know who the hell you were marketing to. Nobody knew what the hell this movie was supposed to be.
The timing was poor with Minions being its competitor, I think.
Even then, I don't think they could have predicted that Minions was going to do as well as it did. But so your marketing is poor. Your actors talking about how the people who don't like it are dinosaurs is poor, so you're not running damage control on stupid Chris Evans who just doesn't learn his lesson. But with a high audience score, why aren't people going to see it? I ask you. Well, the guy from The Terminalist, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys still want us to review The Terminalist. I watched it. I loved it. I did not like it as much as I loved Reacher. But that is to be, Reacher was a very, very rare example of what I consider to be almost perfect television in current year. But if you would like us to review it, we can definitely do that when Mary can find the time to watch like 8-hour-long episodes. That's a lot of time.
I'll try.
So the idea here is so the Lightyear does bad, and the director blames the fans. Well, what does the Terminalist do? The Terminalist has a score of I wrote that down here as well. 43% critic score, 94% audience score.
That's dramatic.
That is a dramatic difference, and it's exactly what you'd expect from the critics. And the funny thing is, a lot of the critic complaints I completely understood. Mainly that they're saying that Chris Pratt didn't have the range to pull off such a serious character. And I actually think that in a show as good as it was, I think Chris Pratt probably was the actual slightly weaker link compared to like Taylor Kitsch and the other stars of that show, Jan Triplehorn. So I don't think that they're wrong, but I think that giving it a 43% is so low and hyperbolic that it is in a way political in a nation. All the article reviews are like right-wing fantasy series because it has to do with the military, and anything to do with the military or people who actually like America is considered right-wing now.
Lightyear has to do with the military.
Space military, they make fun of space. Remember
How about that?
95% for audience. I mean, the fans obviously liked it.
Exactly. And so the point here is that if you look at the Terminalist reviews, is the writer of the book series, Jack Carr, basically says, look, we didn't make it for critics. Mm-hmm. We made it for fans, for people who have either for people in the military who have read this and understand it, or if you're just a regular dude who likes, this is a genre that I particularly love, even as somebody who has no illusions as to what the U.S. military means for this country. And it's not like I believe that we're out here fighting for freedom all over the world. I'm not disillusioned to it. Thank you. Taylor is
Breakfast party.
I understand what that means, but I love that genre of television. And he says he's a former Navy SEAL whose novel was published in 2018, appeared on Tucker Carlson Tonight. And he says when asked for his take on why the critics' rating was 43%,
I'm going to catch
She's very excited. Money. She's very excited, ladies and gentlemen. He says, I understand about the current culture and climate in America right now, Carr said. It seems I do have a hard time concentrating whenever we get Crisis Party. Okay. So it says, he says, it seems to have triggered quite a few of these critics. He says, the 95% viewer rating and audience ratings makes it all worth it. We didn't make it for the critics. We made it for those in the arena. We made it for the soldier, the sailor, airman, and Marine that went downrange to Iraq and Afghanistan so they could sit on a couch and say, hey, these guys put in the work. They put in the effort to make something special and make a show that speaks to them, and that 95% rating lets me know that we are at least got close. He's spot on. Mm-hmm. You should be made, it's one of the reasons people complain that they're looking for, when they make these comic book movies and they deviate heavily from the source material, people are like, why are you doing that? You have a built-in audience with decade after decade after decade of people who either grew up reading them, is currently reading them, or at least read them when they were younger, right? Why do you keep veering off the source material to look for this phantom audience of people that don't exist from these target markets that aren't reading your stuff anyways? Why do you do that when you could just make your money catering to the people that actually want to buy your product? That's what they did here. And of course, you see when it's successful, he doesn't base his success on the fact that the critics like it. He bases his success on the fact that the audience liked it. Mm-hmm. And if more of these creators actually took that approach, we might be getting stuff that speaks to us more frequently, but we don't. Do you think this is one of these things where if they had made Thor Ragnarok or Thor Love and Thunder more in line with the comic storyline, I don't think it would have mattered because that's from a 2016 or 2017 issue of Marvel or timeline in Marvel that nobody liked anyways. Who are they making these movies for? Who is Lightyear supposed to be for? That was the number one question me and you kept asking ourselves. Who is this
Well, it's supposed to be, marketed to children, right? But then, from what I've heard about it, the tone of the movie is actually quite serious and oriented around action scenes more than humor or, what kids actually enjoy. Yeah. So it's like they were making a movie that could have been live action, but they made it animated because it's for children. And then it's a spin-off, so-called prequel that isn't a prequel to the original source material. I think they got confused and they forgot who actually was going to see this. Mm-hmm.
And people
and the
didn't
audience
hear-
score I think is so high because people I don't think that people going to see Lightyear even expected it to be excellent. They just expected to sit and watch something for a couple hours. And
So what do we do with the directors in these cases? In the case of Jack Carr, who's not the director of The Terminalist, he's the writer. Anthony Fuqua actually was the director of the first episode and the co-executive producer of that show. Would it be so hard to put like a muzzle on these people and say, look, stop trashing people on Twitter when it doesn't go right? Like a little bit of
well,
grace.
their egos are so involved in these projects. It's like strange. Like if you're so invested in it, then why didn't you make something good?
A little bit of grace goes a long way, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like to me, like
I don't understand why these people just like hate their audience
They
so much. Where does it come from?
Well,
where does that come from?
The terminal writer, the terminal list writer,
Yep.
that I can respect that response because, I mean, he's at least being straight up that it was for the audience, not for the critics. But
I wonder how
the
he would
Lightyear guy,
respond if like the audience response for the Terminalist had been negative.
yeah, would he have had a lot to say
wonder.
then? I don't know.
I don't know.
I think maybe it's best not to say anything sometimes because I think the critique would blow over fairly quickly.
Is it so hard if it does get a bad review and somebody says, look, we tried something, we didn't hit the mark, we're going to do better on the next one, and we hope that story resonates with people more clearly. Is it that hard to show a little bit of grace when something doesn't go according to plan? Like, am I nuts? Like,
Yes, and like
yes,
yeah,
I am
what
nuts.
puzzles no. What puzzles me about it is like if you're so personally offended that people didn't enjoy what you made, then why weren't you more invested in like making it an excellent
Well, it also seems like if you're really happy with the outcome of something you created, it wouldn't matter that much if there were some people who hated it.
And
Yeah.
to be fair, you're not wrong about one thing. It's like, look, if the guy who created Lightyear loves that movie and he thinks it came out just the way he wanted and it's everything he wanted his movie to be, and then it doesn't resonate with people, but it did. An 84% audience rating says it did. He's mad it didn't make more money. So is this the question of what he envisioned for this project is not doesn't have mass market appeal? And that is a huge problem right now, is they want to create niche stories for mass audiences and then get mad at the mass audience when the niche story doesn't resonate with them. And then they can blame the fans and call them names. Why didn't you like my story about this person that you've never heard of, that you don't care about?
I mean, I don't want to say like why would they care about this movie it's so niche and no one knows this character, why should they care? Because it would be the same thing if it were an original property.
Yeah.
But you made that as a derivative of an existing property and then not anything like the original character that people know and love. So if you wanted to introduce something new and a new character for people to grow fond of, it wouldn't be Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when movies are made from like a franchise to try to have that nostalgic appeal, it actually turns people away more. Like I don't like it as much when they mess with the storyline, especially if it's like changing it up and it's not about the toy anymore, it's about this guy who inspired the
Just
toy.
not having Tim Allen, which they know.
Yeah.
The average person knows that that's a political decision.
And
the
even
reason
he
they made
was
that decision
confused why they didn't even ask him about this.
Well,
like,
that's
being
just
involved.
that's what you think of when you think of Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
At least I do. Maybe I'm just so old that I can't imagine another voice for him. But
Tom Hanks said the same thing. He says, "I have no idea why they didn't."
Yeah.
Because we know that they don't like Tim Allen because Tim Allen is a Hollywood conservative and they wanted to get away from it. Do I think that that's the reason that they didn't choose him for that role? I think it at least. I
What
think
if
it would
they
be
made
stupid.
a movie about Woody? Would they have asked Tom Hanks to be
Yes,
involved?
they would have. Absolutely, they would have.
Think about it that way.
I do believe they would have. Also, they just don't make them separate. Keep them together. Like
Yeah, that was the whole appeal, is that they were each other's like foils.
exactly. So yes, the
I
funny
thought
thing is,
the whole appeal was that they were toys.
yes.
Well, of course, yeah. And like why you're interested in the story is literally that they are animated, inanimate objects rather than real people.
I mean, I think it's all right if they want to make a spinoff, but can't expect it to please everybody.
It's but like I said,
Yeah.
I just really think it is a little bit of grace from these directors and these Hollywood people who, whether they like to admit it or not, they want to see themselves as like bastions for the people. Like, we're here like people are sick of your elitist attitude towards the fans, the people who pay your bill, not pay your bills, but make these things worth these massive companies spending the money on you to make, and a little bit of grace goes a long way. So there's some super chats there.
Hobbit said, I've been a Tolkien fan since I was 8. I can tell by your name. And first listened to The Hobbit. When I heard about Amazon's show, I was initially excited, then disgusted as I learned more. Now I'm ready to point and laugh.
They've broken you. Then, if you're ready to point and laugh at something you love that much,
Do you guys want us to review that? I
That-
don't know
that-
if I'm even like emotionally prepared to.
I don't know if they're releasing it weekly. If they're releasing it weekly, we might be able to do
Yeah,
that.
maybe.
I don't know if people would like to see us incorporate the reviews more into the segments of the show.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe.
so there's more interaction there. Like, we reviewed Obi-Wan Kenobi, not live on there. There was a super chat in there that said more reviews, less IRL. They're talking about how, like, the format of the show. But the problem is, when we have guests every day, we can't always ask the guests, like, look, in addition to your job and helping us here, we also need you to watch this show. We can't do that with everyone. So it's like we would have to find a way to incorporate the reviews into the actual live show, because it's a little bit harder to do the reviews separate, because we have to make separate time for that. So if you guys would like to see them live as well, because of the interactive process to it, just let us know.
We got a simp for Taylor in chat. Dragon's Talon 1001 says, since no one really cares about Buzz Lightyear, let's talk about Taylor. Single, likes, ring size, LOL. He also said party. Thank you for giving us a crisis party.
Thank you.
I appreciate the interest. I'm not single.
Ring size.
Ring size, I don't even know. No ring on my finger yet.
Never. Likes.
Likes,
I don't even know what
likes
that
and
means.
dislikes. Oh, I like skateboarding and playing guitar. I dislike watching terrible movies.
You're gonna fit in great here. She's gonna fit in great here.
But I appreciate the interest.
Yeah.
But no, not single.
I love that, like, pop culture is now just going to be a dating site.
That's what it is.
Hobbit said, media
We're just not going to
claims-
hit any 17-year-olds up to let you know.
Please no.
Yes.
Media claims tons of people saw Thor because they thought it was super gay. Media also claims few people watched Lightyear because of a gay kiss. Make it make sense.
Make it make
sense.
sense.
Make it make
Pick a
sense.
It never
side.
will.
GLS Inc. said, yes on terminal review. Less IRL time, more TV time. By the way, excellent job last week, Mary. Graduated cylinder. That's right. Us here on PCC, I guess we just have bigger brains than everyone else.
Me and Mary were the only ones who figured out graduated cylinder.
You had to
spoiled
alert
it
me as
for
I was
me,
in the
though.
middle of
I
my
think-
nap.
I think I was onto it, and then you just leaned over my shoulder.
And I was like,
And-
graduated cylinder. Very proud of that.
But
We
yeah,
solved a
it's
riddle.
impressive. If you guys can solve all the ones on the board down there, then I'll really be impressed.
Oh yeah, those are
Oh, I
pretty
got
old,
lucky.
though.
I'm not that smart.
I think some of those are just like kind of made up BS to get people staring at that board for a while, thinking they're stupid.
I kind of like the idea
It's
that
like
they're
a
just-
prank.
They're fake. Like, you're trying to figure out
That's
something
what I'm
that's
saying.
not solvable.
It's a
I love
prank
it.
to get people to just stand there clueless.
All right.
Molasses said, can you zoom in on the article text if possible? Thanks.
I would need the shortcut on how to do that. I'm a dummy. I don't know how to do that. Well, maybe we'll figure it out for next
Okay.
next segment.
Yeah.
Next episode.
Thank you for the suggestion.
Thank you.
Bad App said, me and Mary are twinsies in our Sad Boy jerseys today.
Oh.
Y'all need a new P.O. box. That we do. But I'm glad we're twinning. Hobbit said, Brett, Amazon hasn't broken me with the Lord of the Rings show. I'm ready to point and laugh at their failures and woke BS. The books are going nowhere.
They're right about that. He's right about that, about the fact that you'll always have the original material. But for me, when I see stuff that I love get bastardized, there's so much stuff that I love. Like, every so often, every couple of weeks or so, I do an Instagram story post, like, where I post a bunch of, like, shows that are no longer on the air that are just what I consider to be underrated shows. And I said, look, if you're looking for something good to, like yesterday I posted Haven, Lost Girl, Covert Affairs, all of these shows that came out in this sweet spot of television between like 2010, 2015, which would be awful, objectively awful if they were made today. With the standard of writing we're seeing, I can go back and watch those because they're not ruining them in current iterations. But I can separate art from artists with actors. Like I can watch an actor who has objectively awful opinions and still love their work. I have a very hard time watching something get ruined and then going back and watch it get, because if you take canon as gospel, if what happens later is actually there and you're actually trying to get into the entertainment, then I have a hard time going back and watching something that I used to love, knowing how it turns out later and having it ruined. That's just for me.
I understand that the books aren't going anywhere, but it does feel like it actively degrades the source material.
Yes.
When they do things like that.
All right, Podluck, Mary. It is Podluck. Our first Podluck in like 4 days.
Isn't that weird?
It's been a while. All right, so we are going to first do the Flash actress. Candace Patton claims CW and Warner Brothers failed to shield her from racist comments from fans. I would like to ask how this would get done. Like, I'm actually...
Literally, they have to spot her looking at her phone and then
dive in front of it,
grab it from her, and then smash it into the ground.
I kind of like
and then run it over.
Like I'm one to like, okay, look, we have a show. We are not the Flash here, and I am certainly not as good looking as Candace Patton. But people say negative stuff about us. I would love if Tim just came up here every time I was about to read a comment, and he goes,
he just takes a nosedive,
and he takes my
right
phone
into
and he
your phone,
throws it out the window.
Yeah, but that's not how reality works.
No, it is
and
not.
I understand that this was a while back. You said 2014, right? And that was shortly before wokeness really became like very on the nose, at least. But this sounds like she wanted to receive the Kenobi Moses Ingram treatment, where not only did the producers of the show like come out publicly to defend her from racist remarks that honestly were overblown and not seemed very fabricated.
They weren't nice, but in the grand scheme of the internet, I don't know if any of you are familiar with this here internet there, but it is a cesspool often, and the stuff that she had said about her was not nice, but not...
The most that anyone said about Moses Ingram was she's doing a bad job as Reva, and they thought that she might have been hired because of like affirmative action or a quota or something. And I understand that that's hurtful to read, but they made it almost into a marketing tactic for Kenobi.
And
in order to defend her against this so-called backlash that I wasn't seeing on the internet. Yep. That you had to go watch and support the show, even though it sucked.
It's also it's a shield of protection for these shows. Like if you hire somebody, right, and the show isn't taken well, then you just blame the fans as racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, whatever it may be. It's
just
used as
another case of that.
It's just it's like, well, it couldn't possibly be that the show we made is balls. It is just that the people who don't like it are bad people.
Did you watch The Flash?
I watched I objectively think that the first season of The Flash is one of the better superhero adaptations there is. The second season is also quite good. The third season, it goes downhill. I didn't watch it after that. But that first season of The Flash with the Reverse Flash and Tom Cavanaugh is very, very, very good television.
Do you remember whether you thought like Candace Patton did a good job in it?
Fine. The world was so different then. Like she was fine in that role.
Social media also, like it should be said, social media was... It wasn't exactly Wild West in 2014, but it was a lot closer to that than it is today.
So let's see. She
says
almost
10 years ago.
So she says she said in a recent interview. She says in 2014 there was no support system. The actor said no one was looking out for that. It was just a free range to get abused every single day. It's a dangerous place to be in when you're one of the first and you're facing backlash for it. And there's no help. Patton said of being the first black actress in the DC television universe. I mean, first black starring actress, yes, but not the first black actress in any of those shows. That's not true.
Well, she says one of.
Yeah, okay. So it says, now people understand a little bit better, and they understand how fans can be racist, especially in genre and misogynistic, which is like she's like saying, take that, you incels. Like that's literally what that's supposed to be.
She means like in the Marvel fan base?
I think she's talking about superhero stuff in general, science fiction genre. She continued, but at the time it was kind of like, yeah, that's how fans are, but whatever. Patton remarked that with the companies I was working for, like CW and Warner Brothers, there's this whatever was their way, whatever was their way of handling it. I think we know better now that it's not okay to treat your talent that way and to let them go through the abuse and harassment. I wanted to leave the show as early as season 2. I remember being like, I can't do this. I'm not going to make it through. I'm severely unhappy, she added. Look, I get it. Like when you're put on a stage that large and you're given that much attention, you're going to get a lot of positive attention. You're also going to get negative attention.
Yeah, I think it would have been one thing for her to say in this interview, like all the same things about how much it bothered her emotionally and like the mental health struggle of like being on stage like that, but without the scolding of like, why didn't anyone do something about it?
I want to know.
They couldn't have done anything about it even if they wanted to.
What were they? I'm actually asking this question. What is the idea here that they need to provide her with like therapy? Like
I was thinking the same thing as Mary. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with her raising awareness about feeling like she was mistreated, about racist comments from fans of the show.
Where is she going to read those comments?
That's messed up. But what is CW and Warner Brothers supposed to do other than maybe like condemning it
or tell her not to read it? Tell her not, like literally. Okay. I do not read most of the comments coming about the show because I have a job to do. I have the stuff I want to cover. There's stuff I'm passionate about that I think is worth discussing. That's great. Thank you. But if the comments I'm reading aren't going to make me do my job any differently, is it really good to let the negative ones in and affect your mental state? And it absolutely does. Mary, it doesn't bother Mary, but like, there are certain things that will get to me. Not everything. Like people can say negative stuff about my skating all day long. Has never bothered me because I'm very, very confident in what I've accomplished and who I am in that sphere, right?
They're just jealous of your skating.
Here, it's a little bit different because you're putting your opinions, your views of the world, your knowledge about subjects, you're laying that bare and kind of leaving yourself out to be criticized and critiqued. That's fine. Critique and insults kind of run headlong into each other, and you find them in this middle ground. But if you're an actress on a show of that size, if you want the show to make money, the negative has to come with the positive, and you have to be responsible for yourself and not putting yourself into a position where you're reading and taking in a bunch of stuff that you know is going to upset you because you're never going to make it all go away.
Yeah.
There has to be some level of personal responsibility here. Now, there could be something to say like, look, when Ben Affleck got cast as Batman, a fantastic Batman, Dane. That's right.
Take that.
They said basically like they said to him, they said, look, don't go on the internet for like 2 weeks because people are going to be awful. Like maybe if that's what they're saying, like, look, don't read anything people write about you because it's not based in fact. They're just going to say what they're going to say. And fanboys, as so many of them still like to be called, do have that reputation for being particularly vicious about stuff they love, right? She wants both. They want the adulation. They want the, I'm representing this and I'm amazing and I'm this. They want all the positive attention, none of the negative attention. That's not how the real world works. It's just not.
See, like I get hundreds of anti-Semitic comments on my Instagram and Twitter every day. And it doesn't bother me too much. I think I kind of got used to it.
Does it kind of like you kind of become numb to it after a while?
But like if I were on an interview or a podcast, or like if someone was in the comments right now saying anti-Semitic things, I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, Mary and Brett, you guys need to do something about this. I would just
shield my eyes. She says,
I would think this is messed up that there are people who do this. This is not cool that there are fans who will target an actor or an actress on a show because of their race. And I think raising awareness about it is good, but it's where she kind of blames Warner Brothers and CW. I wonder, like, what solution is there on their part?
A lot of people had problems with the character Felicity on Arrow, which is the show that the Flash was spun off from, because they said that Emily Bett Rickards took over the show and it became more about her than about Oliver Queen, which was the show's namesake. Does that make that what I know that she's actually Emily Bett Rickards is kind of a feminist, but like is the idea here that like should they have blocked her and said like no, you can't read all of these misogynistic comments about an objectively true fact that a show that was originally about one person suddenly became about somebody else almost entirely, where it became like an ensemble show. Like they're actresses and actors. You make a lot of money to grow a little bit thicker skin, and I don't mean that to sound rude or dismissive. But if I have to do it for a platform of our size, then they need to, put on their big boy pants or big girl pants, as it were, and learn that the real world is not the nicest place in the world.
Someone in the chat said, just remember what Tyler, the Creator, said about cyberbullying. I can't repeat it here, but if you know, you know. Or look it up.
I do.
And it's so true, and we say it all the time.
I don't know what he said. I want to look it up.
You should look it up.
I'm going to look that up real
very
quick.
worthwhile advice for Candace Patton. I want to read some super chats before we get behind.
All right.
Bad Adam 12 said, Mary, the reason they ruin everything is exactly how Brett reacted to it. They like when normal people are tortured. They get off on it.
I don't know if they get off on it. I
like the Lord of the Rings people?
I kind of...
oh, you see it now? Are we able to like read that in a way that's not...
I hope I'm looking at the right thing, but this is funny.
Yeah.
I don't think we can read that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't know what their motivations are, but
it's like
certainly disturbing.
I kind of go between the two realms of like, do they hate you? I think that a lot of the actors, it's not that they hate you, it's that they kind of that they think that they're more talented or better than a lot of people. I don't think the producers
maybe they are more talented, but
I don't think the producers or the creators think about us at all. I think they want to create their own thing, and they see us as like an obstacle.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't think
rather than the vehicle that they can actually make a living off of that.
Exactly.
Like doing what they love to do.
I can imagine it would be frustrating though to be a black actor, actress, or a minority on a show and be being targeted by a ton of the fans. And
does that make?
But what can you do about it other than ignore it and go on being successful and not letting it?
They have crapped on everybody who's ever played Joker, everybody who's ever played James Bond, everybody who's ever played Batman, for a lot of reasons. I kid you not, at one point they said that Daniel Craig couldn't play the James Bond because James Bond isn't blonde. They get mad at these actors. Yes, it sucks that they're insulting your immutable characteristics. That does not make the insults that the other people suffer any less awful for them to have to hear.
Right, but racism and going after someone for their race or ethnicity is a different thing too. But still, like, I think it's more of a being disappointed in the actors and members of society who behave that way than having your job do anything about it. What is there to do other than not look at it?
That's what I'm saying. There is no other.
Perhaps they could put out a statement saying, "Look, we don't."
But
that would just make it worse.
But that might fuel it more.
That's what they did with Kenobi, and that
made it worse.
Stoked a flame that was actually like barely even there in the first place, and then they made it into like, if you're gonna support us and Moses Ingram, then you're gonna watch the show, right? Anyway, Grapher gave you
I did it. I
shortcut to zoom in on articles, so thank you for that.
Plus, this show is like, this is an older show anyway.
Yeah, it's
this
still
is
on the
just
air.
coming up now.
Yep.
But
Dragon's Talon 1001 said, in the words of Inigo Montoya, I don't think that word mean what you think it means. Just because she's a bad actor has nothing to do with R. And
they didn't put any examples of like stuff that was
said. I like
said.
the Princess Bride reference.
Yeah.
They didn't put any like examples of like of stuff that was said to her, but I don't doubt that stuff got said.
Oh, I believe,
but,
if
but
she's
I
saying
also,
there's racist comments, I believe that there are racist comments.
But I
sure.
also believe that a lot of people could just be like, look, she's horrible. First of all, Iris West, from what I understand, was not a black character in the comics, so they were probably annoyed that they race swapped the character. And that can be taken.
Even back in 2014, when that was like hardly.
Well, another thing, was the character a redhead?
I don't know if Iris is. No, I don't believe so.
Okay,
but that is a
we were talking
trend,
about
though,
that downstairs.
The ginger side.
Redheads get killed off or swapped out for different people, and people don't like that.
So the ginger side is very much a real thing. So
fans were upset because the character was cast as someone of a different race
who didn't look. I'm assuming that would have been the initial critique. Wouldn't have just been she's bad and she's this. I'm guessing it's like this is not what Iris West looked like.
Yeah,
that's a problem. And see, that's the problem. They will label that as being racist when it's not. Not being happy that the character doesn't look like it's supposed to look in the comics.
Yeah.
It's not inherently bad. And I'm one of those people. It doesn't like a lot of times for me doesn't bother me. Like
that's not something that really bothers me about the comic and the character.
But when they brag about
casting,
but when they brag about it and they're like, look what we're doing for representation by just not creating new characters or not using a different character that actually looks like that, but then talk about it like they're doing some great thing for society. That's when I get annoyed. That's when I get very, very frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, sorry. I was just going to say, but regardless of someone's race, if they play the character the best.
Yep. Well, depending on if it's like, if it's super important to the character, it's usually, I just hate it when they brag about it because I hate Hollywood virtue signaling.
Mm-hmm.
But
when it's almost like, they're, like the queer baiting thing, but a different form.
Yep. And in 2014, it was different. I mean, like I said, like I don't think like it wouldn't have mattered. Like I wouldn't have cared because
I just don't think that they would have replaced a black character in the comics with a white actor.
I wonder how
happen.
That would go.
It would go terribly.
I wonder what the response to that would be.
They changed the in the first Doctor Strange movie. They changed the Ancient One from it was supposed to that character is Tibetan, and China said nope. For that movie, so they used Tilda Swinton.
Oh, okay. So. Interesting. Bad App said something mean, so I'm not going to read it.
Ha ha.
But, moral of the story. Anyway, K42X said, Sir Brett, we need a chicken Brett, a chicken Mary, and a chicken Taylor for chicken PCC cartoon. All this sadness and angst are bummers.
We could ask Kent to make us a chicken episode of this show.
I want to voice a chicken. That'd be so fun.
I could do that.
I would love to be a chicken. I feel so inspired by all the chickens here.
Feed guns instead of miniguns in the Chicken City universe.
It'll be like
it's the multiverse of Chicken City.
We'll have our own chicken party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Jeffrey Max said Thor, Love and Blunder. Whoa, you totally own them. Totally jumped the shark. They tried too hard to be funny, and many jokes were dumb, and the wokeness was overwhelming. Very disappointing movie. I wouldn't say the wokeness was overwhelming, but it was definitely in there.
From what I understand, too many jokes.
The jokes are just, in Marvel movies, they're straight up childish. Yeah. They're just not funny.
Yeah. It seems, just based on what I'm hearing, that they haven't really committed to one audience. Like, if they're going with the childish humor, but then trying to throw in some more risque stuff. You're riding in a carriage on a
rainbow pulled by screaming goats. And you're saying the S word.
Let's throw some profanity in that scene.
It's just the
That'll
ultimate, extended adolescence millennial entertainment. Stop.
They will never grow up.
Stop doing this to me.
They will never grow up.
So annoying.
There was one more there.
Oh, was there?
Yep.
MC said, don't forget, they changed a Scottish redhead queen from history to be a black woman instead. Who was that?
Are they talking about Anne Boleyn?
Was she Scottish?
I don't know. I just know that they made. I've been watching.
That was definitely one example.
I've been watching a show called. I've been in a documentary phase lately. I'm like, what's the most inoffensive, just fun and not fun, but chill Sunday entertainment. I was watching Secrets of British Castles.
I love the narrators of 2000s British documentaries.
I love it.
About current events problems. If it's something about nutrition or anything like that, if it's a British narrator, I love it.
And that's what this is. This is a guy named Dan Jones, and he's basically talking about British castles. It has nothing to do with the castles. It's all about the history in the castles. I didn't really care about the history in the castles. I wanted to hear about the actual castle. But the point is, he was also a producer on the Anne Boleyn TV show. Which they race swapped Anne Boleyn because they're it's a story about love and this and that. And I'm like, it's a real person. You can't do that. That's not a thing.
Oh, so they changed an actual
historical figure.
person.
and made them black because
See,
it's 2022
why don't
and
they
history
just-
is what they tell it to be.
Why don't they make more movies about black historical figures
That you are
That's a good
Your-
question.
and cast them with black actors?
your lips to God's
Wow.
ears. Which means that the day I get to play Martin Luther King Jr.,
It's coming.
it's coming.
It's inevitable.
Anything's possible.
Anything's-
at this point.
It could happen.
I'll play Martin.
James Orenthal
anything goes
Guyan
now.
said, "I'll see Inigo Montoya and raise Inconceivable." Also, I guess graduated Cylinder when Carter gave it to Hannah Claire. Marry Kauai and Midwest. Be smart.
Thank you. Inconceivable. If you ever go on IMDb, turn off your internet and search up something on IMDb, and it comes up inconceivable.
It really did.
Yeah. It does.
Okay.
Yeah. Fun fact for the day.
And Joseph said, "Taylor, racism is a sickness of the ego, and you're great."
With an 8.
Racism
With an
is
8,
indeed a
yes.
Let's
sickness.
just
Thank
finish
you.
up. With
We were debating whether to talk about Johnny Depp, but like,
we're gonna skip Johnny Depp today. That's
Yeah.
not who he's got a new movie coming out.
Not much is happening
Not much
there.
is happening. He's like a crutch. You ever need a story? Just talk about Johnny.
because there's always
Google
something.
Johnny.
There's always something. Chris Evans had to say basically Sam Wilson is Captain America, and like I said, if you've got to make the statement, it's not true. If the original Captain America has to declare that somebody else
Like, if
is
you
Captain
have to
America,
assert it,
yes.
then you're admitting.
The story I always tell is people now come to me and they say, "Can I take a nap in the upstairs studio?" And I take that to mean that since they're asking my permission, that by default makes this my studio, because you don't have to tell people it's your studio.
They
people
also know they shouldn't be napping up here.
exactly. So the
Wait,
idea
has
here is
everyone else been asking? I just was going
Who's
to
been
come up.
asking?
who asked?
Everyone's just
Brian.
jealous of Mary sleeping all the time.
Right?
wants
I just
to-
look so cozy, and they want to be me.
The point is that it's annoying because Sam Wilson, the character of Falcon, was cool enough on its own, like you said, black character. They didn't need to make him Captain America. Just make a Falcon movie. They don't need to make a Captain America 4. Make a Falcon movie starring Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson as Falcon. Mind blown. You could have done that and avoided all of this. And then, of course, we'll just finish with Womp Womp Womp, which is Armie Hammer.
I love it.
Basically, the original mystery was they thought Armie Hammer was working as a concierge at a hotel, which makes no sense because his family's worth $1 gazillion. And they find out that this ad or this thing is this that he's not actually working as a.
Who created that?
So it says
It's so much effort for something so stupid.
this says the staffer who has worked for the resort for 12 years said that he sent the pamphlet to a few rooms for fun. Hammer, it says, meanwhile, the Daily Beast also launched its own investigation,
Thank you.
contacting the hotel director of sales, Christopher Butcher, who similarly shut down the speculation that Hammer was working at the hotel. It says, however, he admitted that the actor occasionally showed up at the golf resort and made appearances there this past weekend. So originally I was like, that's kind of funny. A guy made a fake flyer that he was working there.
The
But then
flyer's kind of funny,
yes.
too.
But then I saw this, which says, Armie Hammer working as a timeshare salesman. So this guy who got in trouble for saying weird cannibalistic fetish stuff and objectively has to be worth millions of dollars still. And whose family is worth $1 gazillion is somehow working as I like the idea of him doing it for fun. He just doesn't like being bored, so he got a job
I mean,
selling
it
for
would
fun.
make sense, right?
Wouldn't that
What
be
else
funny?
are you supposed to do as the heir of Armand Hammer?
I'm bored.
Yeah, he's like, none of the women will take my weird fetish texts anymore. Everybody hates me. I got to get a job.
What other gigs could he get?
I mean, he can give out vouchers for swimming with dolphins.
You could do
deep
that?
sea fishing.
He could
No,
start
that's
his
what
own
That's what the
barbecue
flyer
restaurant.
says.
You know what they need to do with him? They
What?
need to cast him as Hannibal Lecter next.
No.
Right
No.
on the nose. Right on the nose. Says-
It always this. It bothered me that the story about Armie Hammer just became laughing at his weird text messages instead of the very disturbing allegations of actual crimes.
Yeah, it became a joke.
It was a big old meme.
So it says Armie is very much in salesman mode. You see him sitting here with a couple going over pricing for a unit. Has anybody? Do people still buy timeshares? Is that still
not
thing?
not as far as I know, but I mean, Army Hammer has found the market.
I remember the South Park episode of timeshares, and I think that turned everyone away. That was the end of timeshares.
It's like I haven't even heard of a timeshare in like 10 years. I don't even.
It does seem very antiquated, doesn't it? Pre-internet.
Yeah, like, I remember. Like,
I remember growing up, there were like commercials about timeshares.
Yes, when I was young,
I still don't fully understand
how it works.
what they are.
When I was young, my family went on vacation to North Carolina, and I just remember we were like sitting in the place we rented, and there just being endless commercials for timeshares in North Carolina.
Who owns them now?
Where did they go?
Know.
Wait, don't like multiple people own them? Is that how that works?
Army Hammer owns them all. He bought them all.
Oh no, I mean, do like more than one person share a place like that?
Yeah.
Is that what I
thought that was the point?
I think
right?
that's how it works. Like you save money because you share a space.
We are not boomer enough to know how timeshares work.
We are.
It's a thing of the past.
Way too futuristic for that old stuff.
Damn it! We almost got to two crisis parties.
We
in
might
one day.
still. You never know.
Oh, we're gonna add 5 more topics until we get to. We're talking about Johnny Depp, whether you people like it or not. That's no. That's yeah. Poor Army Hammer gets caught sending rude texts, and now he's sending timeshares. So we had some super chats there.
Yes.
Who's writing this article? Like what?
TMZ.
We love TMZ. Actually,
we do.
I like it. I think it's funny. It's just how did this even become news?
TMZ is one of the most weirdly unbiased of all of them.
And like well sourced.
Yes.
Because they take tips like directly from people, like video evidence and stuff like that. Variety is, I think, pretty good about that too.
Variety is like has their own editorialization, but not as bad as like an IndieWire. I've really grown to hate IndieWire.
Oh, I'm looking at the New York Post article.
Okay.
I've got slightly different version of it, but no, I see the article you guys are looking at.
Dragon's Talon 1001 said, "I'll see your inconceivable and raise you your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries." Is this more Princess Bride?
It must be.
Okay. Bad Op said, "Taylor is taking all the simps away from Mary." Well, can you walk out with them?
There are plenty of simps for the two of us. You're probably happy
this
I'm taking
burden
them.
from me, please. You don't want to see my DM requests right now. It's scary.
I can't look at my DM requests
ugly.
anymore.
Send feet pics. It's
that and so much worse.
And so much worse.
Yeah, that's the mild stuff probably.
Yeah. Caper2X said, "My contribution for Mary's nap and cookie fund." I mean, I don't know why I need a nap fund.
Is that for like a new blanket?
Need a nap
new
fund.
blanket. I mean,
time
my blanket,
is money, Mary.
Yeah, it's true.
New blanket and new pillowcases and stuff, maybe.
Yeah, my blanket sheds. I need a replacement.
And we need to disinfect the beanbag that.
Oh, we need to throw that in a dumpster.
Mary is not a fan of the beanbag. She says it's got Seamus germs on it.
Yeah, Seamus germs. We need to do some sort of
just burn it. Just burn it.
Hardcore disinfection.
Can we do a bonfire where we just burn all of the beanbags? Like, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
There's a lot of them.
It's too many.
Dingo and Atlas would be really bummed if the beanbags were gone.
I mean, that's cool. They're dogs. They can sleep anywhere.
True.
Bucko doesn't really lay on him out there. He lays in the chair. Thank you.
Oh yeah, Bucko also.
Dragon's Talon 1001 said,
we got a second crisis party, I think.
Oh, we did? Okay. Would you like to stay in the Jeffrey Dahmer penthouse or the Donner Party suite? I think Jeffrey Dahmer penthouse. Nice
Dahmer
view.
suite.
It would be a nice view and a show for all of the people on the street. Someone said Mary needs a burqa. I already wore one on the show. Are you like really that much of a fake fan that you don't have one already?
that one episode like
no,
2 months ago? Like,
Dragon's Talon 1001 said, "Loss of cool points that Mary doesn't know Monty Python." Okay, I've watched some Monty Python when I was a kid, but haven't since then.
I grew up watching a little bit as a kid, but I haven't watched it as an adult.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super into like British humor, so
why not?
I mean, are you?
I love British TV in general. I was rewatching Luther this weekend. I've been rewatching Foyle's War. There's a lot of that stuff that it's like that format of television is now kind of overplayed because most of streaming is done in the format of what used to be British television, right? But in general, I like it because it's so different from our sensibilities that it feels like a break from our culture in a way, I guess.
Some of it is good, but I don't know. Like, I'll admit that my sense of humor is like kind of stupid and absurd.
Our crisis meter broke. Look at it. It's got like a little sliver there.
What the?
It broke.
Did we get a crisis
I
party,
thought we did,
or did
but
we not?
It hasn't gone yet, so we must have. But
That's the tiniest.
Somebody broke it.
That's the tiniest crisis meter I have ever seen.
It is. It's like we definitely got one, so it's like we're just waiting for it to go.
I mean, that's fine.
I don't know. We'll have to.
Do you want to talk about Johnny Depp?
No, I do not want to talk about it. I do not give a
End
crap.
the show.
I do not give a crap about Johnny Depp. I just I like the Johnny Depp story, but it's starting to wear thin. He does have a new movie coming out though, where he's going to play Louis XV, French film. I didn't know he spoke French. Did somebody not know that? I'm assuming it'll be in French.
Has he done other movies in French?
I don't know. I did not that I've seen.
I wonder.
So,
interesting.
anyways, I think we're just gonna wrap this up, and hopefully that it will go before.
I hope. I don't
know. It will go. We're gonna let it go. Taylor, thank you so much for it.
Thank you guys for having me.
Did you have fun?
Everyone for being so welcoming. Yeah, I was a little nervous because I didn't know about all these movies we're talking about, but you guys made it so easy, and I feel very welcome.
We are just here to have fun. That is what it's all
I
about.
had
so
fun.
Are you gonna come back then and do more episodes?
Absolutely, if you'll let me.
We will.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'd love to.
We will absolutely.
You did good.
I will be here tomorrow if you guys wanted me. Like, I am down.
We are gonna.
I'm sure you'd like a break from me.
The topics differ from like day to day. Like some days it's more like today was actually pretty movie heavy. Some days are more like general pop culture. There it is.
Thank you for a second crisis.
Thank you
party.
guys. Into three screen modes.
How about we do our outro like this? I like this.
Okay. All right. Taylor, tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
Oh, on social media, I am on Instagram, Taylor May Silverman, or on Twitter, TM Silverman.
Perfect. And yeah, like we'll have you back on a regular basis. And some days,
Perfect. Thank you.
This is my favorite part. Just having money shot at me. Look at how much I
awesome.
got over here. Thank you,
money,
guys.
money, gun control, guys.
Oh, this isn't even part of like a good portion of it.
And thank you, Mary. Tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram or WeChat at Closer Kitty. And also, whenever I post articles on timcast.com, I promote them there. I believe I'm going to post one later today that is regarding the hate that Brendan Urie is getting on Twitter today.
Brendan Urie being the guy from
The
Panic at
front
the
man
Disco.
of Panic at the Disco, which I was surprised you didn't know about because it was kind of a big deal.
I mean, I know who Panic at the Disco is. I just never cared about Panic at the Disco.
I didn't know he was getting hate for something.
I mean, basically they're mad that he still goes under the moniker of like the formerly 4-person act, and also they're rehashing all of his offensive comments from the past. So
Because everything is offensive by current year standards. So.
All I know of him is
resurfaced
some of the songs.
clips. They resurfaced.
Resurfaced. And then are you going to be on IRL tonight?
I am. And indefinitely.
Yes, and we love it here because it helps people come and find us on the show, which is what did somebody say earlier? Mary in her natural habitat.
Yeah, I hope that there are going to be a lot of newbies in the chat this week and next.
Perfect.
I like you on IRL.
Thank you.
You should go on there all the time.
Yeah, thank you. It means
You're
a
a
lot.
good addition.
All right, guys, if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me there at Brett Dasovic. For the show, we are finally back. We will have a full schedule this week. No interruptions like last week, and I could not be happier about it. Right here on YouTube.com. That is Pop Culture Crisis. Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. And there was one more super chat there. It says, leave Brendan alone from Bad App.
Leave Brendan alone.
So, what else here? Okay, we're also on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify if you prefer to listen rather than watch. Some people do. I think the video makes for all of this what it is, but take with that what you will. We are also on social media. We're on Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at popculturecrisis, and on Instagram at popculturecrisisPod. We will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.